Mellow greetings, engineers. Welcome back. We've been completing our stellar cartography project. Been all around the place, found a ton of resources. It's time for it to start transforming into its final form. So I just have an inventory full of steel plates here at the moment, and it's time to start laying things out. Let's get started. I've kind of got a plan to map everything out. Not really a solid plan. I'm not building it off of a blueprint or anything like that. I just want to get things in their rough place. I use some of the Minecraft tools in order to get symmetric shapes or round things like toruses or sphere. If you want to do those, those are some good websites. Come out this way, and we're going to do the same thing. This makes me really wish I had a mirror mode or something. I'll actually just do this. Try to spam my blocks as I come out, get the frame, and then I'll do some counting for it. Let's actually pull up one of those tools right now. This is minecraftshapes.com. I want to make a circle, so we can just make a circle shape with it, or an ellipse as it says. And I'll set my width to, this is 25 out plus that one center makes 26. Actually, it's going to be double that because that's the radius. It's going to be a 26. So that width is actually going to be 51. 25 each direction and then 1 in the center. And by selecting that, it'll actually generate a circular shape for you. And you can change that to thick or a thin. If I drop it down to a thickness, I have overlapping blocks in every direction, which is exactly what I want to see when I'm building in Space Engineers. That way I can actually have things connected with each other and not have to worry about placing some extra blocks. It actually tells you what the extra blocks are and where they're going to be. Exterior piece, I'll go ahead and pull that up. That'll be my center, so I can come out, which will make a ring of 5 going through. Actually, 5 coming off that center, isn't it? 5 coming off the center, and then 4 visible here. And then we'll do the same thing into 3s. We would have 3 visible from that outside. We'll probably change something on that as we start actually rounding out our shape a little bit. Just gets a little garbled in this design. A little bit of server lag there. There we go. So I don't really like how that transitions through, and we'll be putting rounder shapes out there. But we can come over here and see the same thing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up here. Just indicate that we've got our endpoint going. Let's see here. Go back over to my reference. Center 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the center plus 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'll review that. It's 1, 2, 3, 4 in that face. Yeah, see, we're almost connected all the way around. Let's make sure we did this side right. We've got my center here. That is our rounded shape. Let's take a central look at it. That looks kind of crappy, building it off the diagram. It looks like it extends out too far.
How did all these squares make a circle? No, it's fine. It's fine. It doesn't bother me. It doesn't bother me. It bothers me. It bothers me a lot. And that one's still green!
So if I'll just do 5, 4, 4, I'll take this as, let's do 2s, because really we'll have 2x1 slopes that we can do. 5, 4, 4, and then we can go into 2x1 slopes. I think we can get rid of one of these other ones, because we still, it looks like we're extending out too far before we begin the rounding. Five, 4. I think we need to cut off one of these 4s. If I just do 5, 4, and then we do 2s. 5, 4, 2, 2, 2, and then we can do some 1s. So let's do that over on this side. 3 sets of 2. We go to 45s. Good as far as round goes as well. I'll take it, and then I just have to do the same thing everywhere else. So we can get to that. Looks like we messed something up there, so let's go back and count everything, because it should have come out even. Want to make sure our radiuses are good. With the block, 1, 2, 3, 4, and there's my problem. Didn't get that counted right initially, which makes everything back here inset, and that's why we weren't lining up. These kinds of large builds that require symmetry all around are so much easier to do in creative mode, where you can actually use symmetry, but don't have that on the servers, and we'll just make do with what we have. I want to come in here. That's the bottom. 2, 3. We'll actually nix these guys. There we go. So that should be same top and bottom. That's good. We can come this way too and do the same. Oh, looks like we deviated off here. Yep, deviated off a lot. Always good to check your work periodically. Did not build this face out enough. There we go. So that looks pretty good. Now we're getting our rounded structure going. We'll mess around here a bit more, see what we want for our shape going up towards the center in our disc. I want a 2x1 starting with you. This is how I'm going to build a lot of volume inside this area. It's already pretty massive as far as a disc goes. You can build a lot of volume in here just by building up and down a little bit. So the little space that I had, which was only one block across is actually going to balloon out quite a bit every time after that. I think that'll work. That'll give us a fair amount of space. Always just like one little block at a time seems to be enough to mess it up. So that looks pretty good there. I've got that shape working for me. Perfect. That lined up very nicely. And now we can make this same thing a couple more times here. So that is going to be the outer size of our frame. There's going to be a bit more volume built in the center. I got to do a little more over there, but this thing is going to add up to a lot of PCU really, really fast. And it's going to be super massive as well. So if you have to care about PCU like you do here on the public servers, then yeah, that's something that you need to pay attention to as far as the size of your ship. Use your faction mates in order to make larger craft or even more craft when we build things, and that way you're sharing that cost. These public servers have a limit of 20,000 PCU per player, which goes by pretty fast. That depends on what you're doing with it all too. If you're just building, you know, simple small mining ship like I've got down there, even that adds up in PCU real fast, like 2,000, and you don't think about it, but that's a fair chunk of your PCU, and it's just all functional blocks. If you started getting crazy with decorative LCDs or anything else like that, you're gonna burn through your PCU really, really fast. And you may not even recognize that you are doing so. But that it can go very fast, and you just need to be cognizant of it. Otherwise, you'll burn through your PCU and you won't have anything that you want done when you start to actually need that PCU for things. And I can eliminate these extra bits going through. And then through here, this is the next layer coming down. My central area here is going to be 3 thick, and that's what, but then it expands out and then out again. That way I can just see more of that volume I've got in there. I want to be really careful trying to cut things off in here as well. It's very easy to dislodge something, and because of how I've got this set up, it's probably better that I turn it into a station. And let me just turn my base into a station. So that'll make my ship a little safer. Actually, I won't be going anywhere. And that should turn all of this into a station as well. So here we go. I've got a circular shape fitted out, and I'm gonna need some big parts put in first. So some of the things that I'm thinking of is we'll go back here, because really what I want is an area for my ship to sit in, and by that ship I mean the little mining craft, and that way I can continue to gather resources. So I'm going to need to carve out a large area for a docking area. So if I do, let's see, if I come out this way, I can extend this back. It'll gain me some space, and that's precisely what I want. Extend this out, because I've got another decorative piece I want in. I want this same 2x1 slope to continue back, and it'll give me an extension off of this grid, which will give me some more room to work with for my docking area here. I might want to set that back a bit further. Let's see here. Because that ship is 3 across, I want to give myself some space all around. That being the end of my bay there. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 being the width of the bay. And I also want it to be up high as well. Will I make this the same thickness top and bottom, or do I just want to drag it from the bottom or from the top? The world may never know, but I need to if I'm going to continue this, because I need to put thrusters and tanks and such in here, and it's just a little too thin with the way it's shaped. I may even want to make this area a little larger in the back. I'll do this. It'll give me more space to work with back there, and I think that'll make it look okay as well. But this is another problem, is I don't want this to taper off to be too thin. What if I pull this guy off and I can extend this further back? That looks too small to me, to say the least. It looks too small. That's looking okay to me. Let's pull, what are we doing? Pulling this over. I want this to be 2 spaces big, not just 1. And now I can actually just end up shifting this whole piece over this way. And that should give me the distance I'm looking for. There we go. That looks a little better. Gives me more of a teardrop shape that I want. Extending that out a bit. Makes it a little thicker back here, which is also what I want, because I need some space to work with. What else do I want? This needs to be thicker than what it is. And that's kind of what we have to deal with as far as our docking bay. So this whole thing is going to be bigger. On the back side, that's what I want to see here in the back. I just want to pull these beams across. And I'm just creating some space in here right now. I'm also building the structure of the ship a little bit. I can always come back and take off these blocks but knocking out these spaces will kind of give me something to work with as far as structure. I plan on hiding my thrusters inside the ship so I don't have them exposed everywhere. Not really for a combat or practicality issues, just purely for aesthetics, just to hide them. And in doing so, I need lots of space in order to make this still look nice and be able to support that design I'm going for. Like the hydrogen thrusters have a kill zone of 7 blocks. You know, large and small have different thrust kill zones, and depending on where you're at, they change, but it's also why I love hydrogen ships, because my thrust kill zone is always the same no matter where I'm at. So it gives me consistency in my build. Let's get you. What else do we want? We have big things. So, you know, as big as this structure is, there's the kill zone. Let's get a little more visibility on it. As big as this structure is, that's all dead space for a kill zone in there. And I can overlap that with thrusters in other directions, which is useful. And that is what I'll be doing. But at the same time, it's still a lot of dead space. You can stack these all over the place inside your ship. It makes it lighter overall and occupies a fair amount of space, which can be good, but it can also not be good depending on how much you are hurting for space inside of your ship. It just depends on your design philosophies and what you are trying to do. Oh, what was up and what was down? Now it matters as I place thrusters. This is not efficient as far as PCU goes, but it should give me a better aesthetic look when everything's done. That way I don't just have a bunch of thrusters sitting around together on the outside, burning holes through things. Kind of want it to look a little nicer once it's all done. Okay, so I've come up to a wall. Let's cut through here because I need to. Pulls that section through. And what do we have here? We're still going back into this area. That's good, because we want to keep all of this kind of free for thrusters and dead zones. Now, speaking of dead zones, this is our thruster here. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I need to cut through all of this guy. 1, 2, 3 is 5, 6, 7. And then we'll come back another 1, 2, 3. And then I can come this way for that thruster. You should be centered off of there now. Oh, I should be able to drop another thruster in. There we go. Now if I did that math right, let's get away from the sun. We have 1, 4, 5, 6, and I'm short 1, which is bad, so this needs to go back another space. It's good to catch early. Otherwise, I'd have to deconstruct and rebuild. It gets super annoying. You think you got everything in place, and then you don't, or you find out that your thrusters are cooking each other. So this thruster's coming this way, burning against the hull. I don't care. It's not actually going to hit anything. This one is going facing down. That's facing down. Those will be cooking outwards, and I place them in a position where I should be able to extend some bulk this way, all the way down. And that's kind of what I was aiming towards. So if I build that up here as well, that way I can still maintain some coverage over those items and I can have not just the thruster sticking out of the hole. I want it to have a shape around it. So that should be a nicer looking item rather than just here's a big thruster hole sticking out. So try to think of the aesthetics for things. So here, the thrusters actually have a unique death area. It's not the entirety of this 3x3 block face. It's actually, we can nix this guy because that's too far and that's too far. It's actually half a block on, I would say, the cardinal directions, and a full block on the supplementaries here where you can put things. So if I put, go like this with a half slope, that's safe. Same thing here. This is also safe. And if I supplement these with so if I do a number like this, I can have a nicer looking cover around that thruster, so that way it's not just a hole, especially because I would have a square hole and I would be putting the round thruster through it. I don't want anything sticking out. So this is a nice way to cover up that thruster and still allow it to do its thing and not destroy anything else. And I don't have to worry about the interior ones, but I would need to do the same thing over here. But just doing simple design like that, I like this design. It's, I guess, elegant enough for what I need. And then it looks pretty nice once everything's put together. And that'll be for anything that's facing up or down, for that matter. So like same thing back this way. I've got this thruster facing this way, and then I can pair it with another thruster that I can actually have facing up. So getting these thrusters being a 3x3x3 cube back here, I'm kind of seeing how much this area needs to be extended and where things need to go, how they fit in. So I've got that space there, and I could even scooch it over a little bit and have it facing upwards here. And I might do that because I don't want it to be all the way butted up against the end, because I want the little space for some of the shapes and everything to flow through. What else can I look at? So I've got this thickness coming through down here, and that can extend this way. So now I can start to see a little bit more of this shape shipping up here. Got the underside, I've got those thrusters burning downwards. Back up here on top, this is again going to be covered. And I don't like how just the thin plates go, and offers zero protection, and they have nasty looks on them from a lot of the different textures. So with this being extra bulky, we can place the thruster there, and can skip a few blocks and place another one in there. I don't know if I necessarily like that. I almost want to extend this shape out, but I want to keep it nice and thin as well, or nice and smooth rather. So I can either do the 45s, which would cut in way too much, or I can use these 2x1 slopes, which is what I'm doing. 2x1s, 2x1s, 2x1s. And it's just by nature of where it's at. I can make this last bit, I can make it 2x1 slope too. And that'll give me 5 from here, just because I want to push this thruster back one. You're gone. There. So this will be the top area here. Let's pull this section back. So that's the appropriate thickness there, and it's going to lend itself well over here. So that's the appropriate thickness, because we'll just be thicker in the back. We'll have it the nice 5 or so, because that's going to kind of tell us where our loading deck is going to be. Our shuttle bays are going to be through there, because I want to make sure that I've got some thrusters in every direction up here and some of my industry laid out. That way I can shift everything from this support ship. Once everything is in here, I can utilize this to get around. A hydrogen tank every once in a while. One, it'll give me ample amount of tanks, and that shouldn't run out of fuel. That's 2 up, 2 down. I've got 1 lateral. I can put another lateral in here too. Where is this dead zone? So this dead zone is offset 1, and there's 4, 5, 6, 7. So if I shoot another thruster cone going through here, it should be okay. And where's the end of my shuttle? That's the end of my shuttle bay too. 1, 2, 3. So that should work out as far as dead zones and give me that much extra lateral thrust. So let's do that. I also want to make sure I'm not trying to isolate things here too much, that the front thrusters are connected to the back thrusters, so if I did have some sort of chain being broken, they can still feed each other. That's also why I want hydrogen tanks all over the place, in case I get a conveyor chain broken somewhere. I can still have some function out of these guys. It's just a matter of trying to map things out. My conveyor networks are usually absolutely disgusting to look at, and as I've been placing them around here, they've all been the actual junctions themselves. And that way I have access to all 6 sides of them and not just, 1 or 2 additional ports. It just makes it a little easier to get it all initially placed, and then once it's initially placed, I can worry about trying to streamline it or armor it up wherever necessary. Then I can drag conveyor network this way. But these big thrusters have ports on all their cardinals and then 1 in the back, so that's how those are being attached. That's attached into this group, which is all connected to each other. Since it's all part of that grid now, I can fix this. We can take this up. And pop it over this way. So now I've got that front network connected to this rear network, and I've got a whole 1, 2, 3 built-in hydrogen tanks, which should double to be 6 over there just for what I've got. Gonna be a ton of ice needed to power it all, but really shouldn't worry about moving with the thrusters too terribly much. Should be mostly jumping anywhere I need to go, and if I need to get closer to something, I can take a smaller ship. That way it's more fuel efficient. All these laterals are facing the same way, which is fine, but I probably have to lay out the mirror just to get this to move. In fact, I will certainly have to lay out the mirror just to get this to move. I also want more forward thrust, which would be that guy. So what if I can scooch these guys back a little bit, piped appropriately. There we go. So that's looking fairly efficient. I've got 2 thrusters here facing that way. These are staggered apart because these ones back here are staggered as well. I've got a big 7 kill zone going across, and this one's a little bit bigger with 8. These 2 thrusters facing inward are also going to utilize that same death zone. I've got a couple of down thrusters that'll give me uplifting thrust, and then a couple of upward facing thrusters to give me that down. I just need to get a small mirror going on this other side, and it looks like that'll be roughly the back half of the ship. So this is 5 thick, this is 5 thick. That's my center line. I cut you guys out so it's wide enough, but not tall enough for what I want. Again, I could make crabsies in there, or even use plate for the decking or the top, which I don't really care to do, but I could. I might. Now, I can get more girth in the back still, and just end it there. I think I will do just that. Make sure I get this measured correctly, because I want to make sure the ship will fit 8, 9, 10, and I want you to be inside a little bit. I'm going to make sure this is deep enough. So if I have close, and then I've got, you know, space 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, another space. I can say this should be the rear of that shuttle bay. I don't like this at all now. These guys are... Well, that's 5. Really, this is going to be okay. I can put plates through here to cover it up. I can have an ugly wall. I can do that. I can be okay with that. Where are we at the center? This is the end of the line coming through this way, so I can pull that back. Because that'll be exterior blocking. 3, and let's see. That's what I'm really lacking, is the width coming across. And I've got a lot of work to get some of that mirroring done over here as well. Because this whole, that line come all the way back, that 6th all the way back here. And that'll be our shuttle area. I kind of just free-formed all of that together. I've got an idea of how I want things to go, kind of based upon how I've done things in the past, but every one of these is kind of unique into itself.
Energy low.
This one is okay. Having this one and this one should be okay. I don't like this guy. You're in the way. So I think I'll remove you. But that thruster is connected to that tank. That thruster is connected to that tank. That thruster is connected to this tank. All these are attached. This is a chain. Thruster, thruster together, chain, thruster, tank. All these thrusters are connected. These thrusters are connected to that tank. So those 2 sets there are complete. Now I just need to connect them to each other. Probably just down the center. I'll just pull these guys across. And it gives me a hard backstop for that shuttle bay area too. Okay. Now all of those are connected to each other. I just need to mirror this bulked half around and I'll get the rear of my ship working. Then manufacturing and power production and all that other good stuff while I'm... But it's coming around. It's starting to get there. So let's look over here. This is now extra thick. And inside here, I'm just going to use some lights to make it an aesthetic thruster. Not actually going to do anything. It's just going to glow, look sci-fi. I really like these inset lights because I don't need a panel that's set back, an extra PCU for that. I can just do it as is. I like to label things as I go. That way I know what's what, because there's no build vision. There's nothing to help me out on here. Push you guys together, one, and there we go. So that'll be power production as well. So that's looking good. Now I just need to mirror this going across. What else can put in here? I can sneak a refinery in here. And that way I'm not actually carrying these things elsewhere. Ditto in this big area here. Actually, I might stick the refinery in here. Just because I have that kind of space for it. Coming along nicely. So if I wanted to put manufacturing in here, because there's nothing stopping me. That's 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's do that. I put this full refinery there. You don't extend past, and that's exactly what I want you to go. And then I can put my modules on you. Okay. That's coming off of this hydrogen tank. There we go. I think that's what I want. If I stick this up here real fast, I can... 'cause I know there's a port down there. The ports should look like this. And that's what that looks like. So I've got that straight through port coming off that tank, which is what I want to see. And then I can put my modules lock on it. So here we are. And you're going to be full-size assembler. that's a big chunk of it right there. That's in a good place. It's in a real good place. Let's put in another critical thing that I will need here. Okay. Now that's just about all those critical things that I need to have in here in place. I'll need to put some gyros and then the control surfaces, some other stuff. But I think this is in a good place as far as framing up goes. Next will come the long haul of welding things into place and then pulling all of my stuff in. Probably be beneficial if I just put welders on that mining ship and give it a big cargo container, and that way I can just sit around and dump those materials all over much faster. But of course, I still need a funnel to transfer the tanks and the big cargo stuff, everything else that it's still working with. I think I'll pause it right there and then continue up next time. Hopefully this streaming bug goes away, and we'll see what's going on there. Until next time, go forth and build great things. See you then.